I'm JeniLynn.
And I'm Jen.
And we're
in high conflict hell.
The reacting parent is labeled unstable, high conflict, or the aggressor. Poke, 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 react. Wow, she's crazy.
I am the aggressor, apparently.
There's no right way to speak out, to speak up. My reaction was the thing that no one could stop talking about. If you know, you know, but let's make sure you're in the right place. You're in the right place if your reaction is always the issue.
You're in the right place if you lost sleep over your friend's court case.
You're in the right place if you can't move your neck today because of your friend's court case.
I slept fine.
At least one of us did.
For once.
I'm so worried about you.
I'm worried about me too. I'm worried that I'm okay.
Well, you are okay, for sure.
Problem.
Clearly, there's no right way to speak out, especially as a woman or especially as a minority. Anytime you speak out, it's going to come back at you.
How many times have my ex-husband and his lawyer told the truth so far?
Well, isn't that the ironic part, is that all of this stuff is public record anyways. Yeah. All of this stuff is clearly being discussed at the other person's house, at the dinner table conversation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if anyone else hears it, that's the crime.
Yeah.
Once again, the reaction is the crime.
Right.
Always.
And I'll mention that we have all of this stuff online marked for mature audiences.
Even in speaking out in this kind of way, I asked a therapist friend, what do you think? What do you think? And her immediate response, speak out, speak up, speak out. This is necessary.
And this is
going on everywhere.
She's worked with marginalized communities. She has worked with youth and families. She has worked with men in prison systems.
Well, and just like every doctor is going to have their own opinion, every therapist is going to have their own opinion.
We have another therapist that listens in.
Oh, I know there's quite a few.
And she is like, this is so necessary. You need to be talking about this. And she works in family therapy.
That's the interesting part, is from people on the inside of these conflicts are saying to us openly, this needs to be talked about. Right. This needs to be discussed. Mm-hmm. This episode, let's talk about reactive abuse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had never heard the term reactive abuse. And I'm not going to lie, it took me a second to wrap my mind around it.
So you should share the definition of reactive abuse.
Okay. I'm the official definition reader. Okay. Where did this come from?
I don't know where you got it.
I got this from Professor Google. Reactive abuse occurs when someone is subjected to ongoing pressure, control, intimidation, gaslighting, or instability, and then reacts emotionally, and that reaction becomes the entire story, while the original behavior disappears. Key elements: chronic provocation. The reaction becomes the evidence. The original behavior is erased. The reacting parent is labeled unstable, high conflict, or the aggressor.
Mm-hmm. I am the aggressor, apparently, currently. And I'll share that my ex-husband, up until about a year ago, was not doing any of these things to me.
Wasn't poking you
at all. Everything was very calm, very stable. Pick up the kids whenever you want to, take extra time here, we'll do holidays like this, like really calm. Any decisions that we needed to make were conversation.
Yeah.
And I'll add, he has never really made a decision. Mm-hmm. And now that's being used against me. So now that things have switched and he is being provocative, he's paying someone to be provocative.
Well, okay, that's the interesting thing about your situation, is that he's paying someone to really hit your butt. Mm-hmm. And I think hit your buttons even minimizes it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He's paying someone to say really terrible things about your parenting.
So he can say, I'm not doing that.
Which, once again, if the issue with the parenting plan is a transportation issue with minor changes, it does catch me off guard that they're asking for a guardian ad litem. I'm not convinced that this is all they're asking for.
Oh, it's not.
But what I also don't like then, too, is that tell you what they're asking for. And I don't talk about manipulation, Jen. Because
it's a fear-mongering tactic.
It's a fear-mongering tactic where you file something with a very slight request. And I think at the last minute, they're going to come in.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to see stuff, hear stuff that you haven't heard for 3 months prior.
Right.
Why don't you have the opportunity to think about this for a few months?
That I haven't heard for 7 years since we separated.
Oh, exactly. Where you have asked over and over, what changes do you want in the plan? What are you looking for? With zero response on the other end.
Right.
And so they're putting you in a position where you are constantly on edge. And it's funny because you texted me yesterday and you were just like, I'm feeling so anxious.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. And I texted you back and I just listed all of the things that have happened this week where you're not supposed to react.
Right.
You're supposed to just sit back and take people's criticisms and allegations and them stepping into your home. And all while in the background, you're being openly accused of all sorts of things.
I think that what happened this last week in the text message that I sent that was intended to be kind is a version of that, like, reactive abuse. I think I should share that.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah.
So my ex-husband has not been allowed past my fence for the last year because there has been a couple of things that have gone on where he's intimidated me.
Well,
and used posturing and screaming, and people have come quite literally out of houses.
once again, we talked about it in Weapons and Whiplash when he was standing in your driveway screaming at you.
And he used to be allowed to come in the house whenever he wanted to. I didn't love it, but we would get along for the kids, whatever. So he is in the middle of all of this conflict, in the middle of him paying a lawyer thousands and thousands of dollars to ask for, I still don't know what. I have a contempt hearing coming up in 3 weeks, and they're asking
an adequate cause hearing.
An adequate cause
Two
hearing.
separate ones, yeah.
In 1 month, and he has been coming in my house. Twice actually, invited by the kids, which is okay with me. So at drop-off the other day, he refused to let me pick the children up. Refused. He said, no, I'll bring them home. So he comes into the house at drop-off, even though I'm supposed to pick the children up. And he kind of stands there hovering. He's not really saying anything to anyone. It's 5 or 6 minutes that he's just standing in my house. I don't say a word. I'm not mean.
Neutral.
I don't look at him. We're watching TV. And so I'm just kind of looking around like, what is he doing? Is he going to say like, hi, can I come in? Can I hang out for a little bit?
He said something to talk to you about?
Yeah, I would be okay with that if you ask or communicate with me. And he didn't. I got up eventually to go to the bathroom, and I'm dressed in my home how you dress comfortably in your home. It is not necessarily a way that I would like for my ex-husband to see me.
Yeah.
It is not inappropriate or anything, but I'm comfy.
You're walking around naked?
I'm walking around just completely nude, full moon.
We don't know why he's standing in the door.
Just standing there.
Your big old titties.
Yeah. So my ex-boyfriend said he was like, he's waiting to make his move. And I was like, not that this man wouldn't, but no. And so he leaves, and I sit with it for 3 hours. And I thought about it and was like, I need to say something to him. I don't want to be mean. That's not my intention. And we did get through 2 visits with him in my house that he was invited. That was not terrible. Yeah. And I would love to continue to exemplify that for our children. I would love
you guys
to
can
get
be in the same space and not be fighting.
Would love to be in that space with him again where he comes over. But you also can't just be walking in my house without an invitation. You don't even walk in my house without an invitation. I wish you would, but you don't.
No. I try to respect people's.
I just walked into your house today. I thought for a
I was here to let you in.
I thought for a very long time about what to say because I didn't want it to be mean. So my message says, hi, ex-husband. Happy to have you around when the kids invite you and we have agreed on an activity, but I would like to ask that you don't continue to come into my home without us talking about it first. Happy to have you over, but with all of the threats, accusations, and otherwise serious issues, it is incredibly hard and uncomfortable for me to have you in my space uninvited. Thanks for understanding.
Well, and because you don't want him in there taking notes. Did he have his notebook?
Right. No, he didn't have that stupid notebook he's been carrying around everywhere.
He's taking notes on things.
He stopped bringing it.
Okay.
He did.
But honestly, like, I don't want you to see something and there's an outlet uncovered and that 10-year-old can stick her finger in it.
Oh,
I don't know.
Licked her finger and stuck her finger right in it. But same. And though I don't think that's what he is doing. So he responds and he just says, okay, period, which is an acceptable, reasonable response. But then I felt bad because I didn't want him to feel embarrassed. So I talked to him about ski school.
And you guys had an off-topic conversation.
Well, I just didn't want him to feel bad about that interaction. So I'm going to send you all the ski school details since on his weekends he'll be taking them up. And the pass was horrible today. Driving conditions are not expected to be great this year. I just want you to know ahead of time. I just wanted to kind of diffuse any potential embarrassment that maybe there was. And he said, I'm opting out of talking to you outside of required interactions with the kids. You've taken every single interaction we've had into a firestorm and left all of the details out. So that confirms to me that he was embarrassed by me asking him not to come inside my house without an invitation, which is also okay. I don't really want to talk to you about anything but the kids either.
Okay, I don't take that as him being embarrassed.
Oh, I do. I know him very well.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I think actually what it is, he's trying to get back with his fiance and she reads his text messages. So he's trying to show that's what I think
boundaries.
is happening. Yeah. So I responded to him and said, that's fine. I don't need to speak to you for any other reason. You've literally hired a lawyer to accuse and threaten me of things you've agreed that I have not done. But I'm the one taking interactions and turning them into a firestorm. And he said, Jen, stop. I will not engage with you outside of the kids. However, for the last 3 weeks, he's been engaging with me at every opportunity that he has about anything he wants to. Yeah, I'm confused.
Right.
But I just don't think anybody should operate as a parent from a place of shame, embarrassment, nerves.
Well, and you didn't send a message being like, don't ever enter my house again.
Yeah.
You're accusing me of horrendous things.
Right.
And I don't want to see your face in here.
No, it just
was like, hey, you let me know before you walk into my house?
Yeah.
I don't want to be caught off guard.
Right. Hey, I'm dropping the kids off early. Can I come in and say hi?
What would happen to me, and this is, I had a therapist tell me this once. I'm going to use the word bully because that's the word the therapist used.
Right.
Like a bully in school where they've beat you up.
Right.
They've kicked the shit out of you. And the next time you pass that bully in the hallway, they don't touch you, but they stomp in your direction.
Right.
And you're like, you flinch because you're not sure what to expect.
Right.
And they may never touch you again, but every time they stomp in your direction, you have that same reaction of, oh crap, what's about to come?
And then you have an emotional reaction, and that's reactive.
And you might turn to that bully and say like, leave me alone, get the hell away from me.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, there's a woman screaming in the hallway.
Right.
And wow. And oh, wait, we do know why, because she was beat up by that person.
You didn't have to do that.
She didn't have to do that.
You didn't have to scream.
You could have handled that better.
Right.
Maybe you should just have silently just stepped away.
Right.
That's the part, to me, that's
the
so
expectation.
hard. I'm predictable. And I've said this.
Right.
You poke, you poke, you poke, you poke. I will have a reaction.
Right.
And the term reactive abuse, that was a form of abuse against me, had never crossed my mind until 2 days ago.
Right.
When I was listening to the Weapons and Whiplash. I was like, holy crap.
Our own episode of Weapons and Whiplash.
Right. But I was like, holy crap. This was my entire marriage.
Right.
Was poke, 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 react. Wow, she's crazy. Look at her.
I had that too, but a little bit different. So my ex-husband would cheat, and he wouldn't hide it well enough for me to find it. I mean, he was on Ashley Madison.
Yeah.
And
well, those were the days, right?
Yeah.
Ashley Madison.
Oh, that's I'll tell that story. But he would do things so that I would find them, and then I would lose my mind. Why don't you love me? What am I not doing for you? Am I not
sending you pictures of other women?
Yeah. Am I not putting out enough? All of these things that went through my head, and I'd be screaming and crying and just begging this man to love me. And he'd be like, why are you doing that? You're crazy.
That's what he would be saying to you.
Yeah.
After you would find out about his
extracurricular
relationships and your deep relationship feeling faltered by that.
Yeah.
Look at your reaction.
Right. And he would do that with other things too, not just the cheating. But, can you help me? I have 3 young children. Can you take out the trash?
Oh, yeah. That was a common occurrence in my marriage,
and it's small,
too.
And I think a lot of people can relate to this because finally be like, oh my God, I'm so upset. I'm crying because I get no help around here. Why are you doing that? I was going to do it, Jen. What's wrong with you? And so those things have been significantly scaled. So the Ashley Madison story is kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean,
so this was 2013 or 2014. So I had a friend over who was one of my closest friends. And I get a phone call from my mom.
Wait, did your mom swipe right on Ashley Madison?
I don't think that was swiping situation.
Oh, it's not?
So
on your ex-husband?
Yeah, so I get a phone call from my mom, and we're on the opposite sides of the country. And she goes, I just got a really weird text message from ex-husband's name. I go, what does it say? I'm like, I know when your mom tells you she got a weird text message from your husband at the time. And she said, well, it was like a link to go sign up for something. So I clicked on it. And my mom's really big into rebates and like getting money back. And she will click a link if she does anything.
Right.
She
class action lawsuit.
She's a big class action lawsuit person.
She's making it.
And she was like, yeah, well, it took me to this thing called Ashley Madison. And I had just heard about this on the Today Show or something because it was right when it was blowing up. And I was like, what was it? And she goes, it was a link to register. I was like, what?
Like it sent out to all of his contacts?
Not all of them, because I didn't get it, but he did accidentally click on something. So I am like, there's no way he would do that. And so I'm sitting here protecting him again. And my friend is like,
where was he at this point?
did
Was
that
he with
at work.
you?
But
Was he traveling? Or
no,
was
he was home, but he was at work. And I'm sitting there, and this friend is very protective of me. She's a lot like you in that way. Like, no, this really happened. This is not like somebody didn't just like a leprechaun didn't crawl into his phone and download an app.
Was this 2004?
No.
Where?
No, not the
messages
YouTube.
don't get sent.
Oh, yeah.
Phone calls don't get through, and Ashley Madison just gets, close. You do get spam texts these days.
Spam texts, yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets home and he tries to deny, like he always does. Just deny. And I used to, because of the kind of relationship we had, I'm not this kind of person anymore, but I used to sneak into his phone all the time. That's how I found a lot of his cheating.
Well, and if you are that kind of person, no judgment.
Yeah. Well,
no,
I would still do it. I just don't have anybody to do it to. So I get into his phone and I log in like on the browser on his phone and logs right in with his credentials. And he had an Ashley Madison profile. So not only was he actively cheating and always had convinced me that it was just, when I ran into this woman, she was just really aggressive and assertive and I don't know how to say no. But now you're actively on a website where you are there as a married person to find somebody that's okay to be in a relationship with a married person. And I was 20, I was hot, I was a good mom. I was all these things. And when I reacted, that was me being insane. Always.
Well, okay. What's the correlation you think between reactive abuse and gaslighting? Two super hot terms in the therapy world and in everyday conversation world these days, except reactive abuse I haven't heard. But gaslighting?
So I think reactive abuse is a result of consistent gaslighting. If you are in a position where somebody is consistently gaslighting you, you know that you need to just get to the end result. You just need to get to the climax of the reaction because it helps circumvent all of those other emotions that get there. And you go straight to like really upset or really sad or really angry, and it just takes you right to that climax.
Okay, so when you're in that situation with Ashley Madison, I know, right? Our non-therapist, non-factual, completely opinions. This is all just us talking. Speculation. So him telling you, the lead up to you finding it, him telling you, I'm not cheating. That's the gaslighting. And then your reaction of, holy crap, you're cheating, you freaking scumbag.
Yeah.
Complete.
Why would you do this
Why would you do this to me?
What am I doing wrong?
Whoa. Why are you reacting like this? Yeah. Of course I did this. Look at you.
He would tell me, of course I do this.
Look at you.
Of course.
Look at how you are. Look at how you are.
Yeah.
Do you think this is fun to be around? That's why I cheat. Look at this reaction. That's why I'm cheating.
Yeah. All the time.
Oh, that's like the worst form of gaslighting.
Well, and it's consistent because now he's not cheating on me, obviously, because we haven't been together in 7 years, but he's cheating on other people. And he is creating relationships with his daughters that kind of mirror the relationship that he's had with every other woman that I've known him to have a relationship with.
Which is, I'm not going to tell you what's actually happening. I'm going to tell you that, and
I'm
kids,
perfect.
These are adult issues, yet put it in front of you in a way that you can easily find it on an iPad, which is how your daughter found out at 12 about his cheating.
Yeah.
And then when she finds it being...
It's my fault.
It's your mom's fault. Now it's like triangulation and all the other things that happen when, as a person, you can't take accountability. You can't just say, hey, I'm sorry.
What you saw is real.
That's
not your fault.
Have happened. Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
Not okay. He is very sneaky, but he's not very good at it. Yeah. Some of it I think is intentional. I think there's something about people catching him doing something that makes him feel a little bit like, ooh.
I listened to a podcast once about this whole topic that like marriage is basically an institution built to give men the thrill of going out, because everyone likes to do something a little,
run a red light.
I don't run a red light.
I'm not turn right on red. Okay. At a no turn on red sign.
Speeding through a school zone.
I'm kidding.
Putting the candy in the pocket.
Yeah.
Everyone likes to do something that gives you a little bit of an adrenaline rush.
Jaywalking.
And that's why extramarital affairs are like a whole thing. Right. It's a societal thing. This is not something like oh my God, I heard someone once on the internet who had an affair.
Right.
Everyone knows someone who's had an affair.
Yeah.
And so we build this institution that's supposed to be monogamous, and then we create a situation where having something outside of that is thrilling and fun. I mean, I don't know. I'm not up here on the marriage.
Yeah, I think
rant.
this episode is actually about my ex-husband cheating.
Well, reactive abuse. I think cheating and reactive abuse go hand in hand. Well,
but you have other...
The reactive abuse, I think, that I experienced had to do with more like my restraining order.
Right.
The poking. And then, like I said, I react. And now all of a sudden my reaction is, that's what's crazy. You're crazy. And my ex-husband, I can remember telling me in his driveway at a pickup once, that because he had a girlfriend before we separated, but that's neither here nor there for me. That's
everybody
more,
does
everybody
no
does.
big deal.
At this point, it doesn't matter. But he told me, because they had been together for maybe it was 6 months. It was early on. And
That's not early for my ex-husband.
Right?
They should have already been engaged.
Right? Well, I was more just like, and we were still communicating. Are the kids gonna meet her at some point? What's the plan here? You guys have been together.
The kids wanted to meet her.
The kids wanted to meet her
this.
because they're seeing stuff. They're seeing text messages. They're hearing people on the phone. Once again, facade. That kids don't hear or see anything that's happening openly in front of them. They're in the same house as them. And he looked at me and he said,
it's embarrassing.
I thought you were crazy. She's even crazier. The kids aren't meeting her. Well, this goes into the next episode.
Yeah.
When you're the crazy one.
You are the crazy one.
I know. So I'll continue talking about that later. But my reaction to that, like all of a sudden, I was realizing, what the heck? Like, what are you doing to her?
Right.
That's immediately what I thought. What are you doing to her?
To provoke
that kind of
crazy reaction.
And now when
is she instead maybe just showing you that she cares about you and you're hurting her?
And you're not communicating with her. You're not answering messages.
She's also wondering why she's not meeting her kids.
Exactly, right?
I think that one of the forms of reactive abuse that you should share, because I think it is really relatable, and I've shared a little bit about my ex-husband's mumbling, which I'll share about too, because I think that the responses to that are reactive abuse. My kids have this reaction, so do I. So did the therapist.
Yeah, like cheating's like one extreme.
Yeah, right. But you have like the kind of like ha-has, emojis, the provocative text messages that in writing, a lawyer or a judge could read and be like, well, that's just a normal conversation. But you know him well enough to know that that is intentional.
Yeah, when you've gone through the kinds of abuse, I would say, I hate using that word, and I don't know why. But when you've been
because to you, it's not big enough. Other people have more abuse.
Yeah, it's not big enough. And that's not how that works. Yeah,
it is big enough.
But when you've been on the other side of someone repeatedly threatening you, and then in the midst of it, you get a message that says, okay, dear. And I know between the two of us, he used to have an old business partner that used to condescendingly call him dear anytime they got into an argument.
And it would really bother him.
It would really bother him. And so then when he would message me, and even the way he uses my name in messages is really, I just feel like I can hear him.
JeniLynn, I think you're such a good mom. Why would you
That's a
react
compliment.
like that?
And we both know that's not a compliment. Right. We both know you're gaslighting me now to tell me that something you said in a previous message was actually a compliment.
It was intentionally meant to be nice. Why are you reacting that way?
And
bitch?
I know people will be thinking like, oh, maybe it was a compliment. Right. Okay, you can think that.
They think that because they haven't experienced that.
Well, yeah. And then very soon afterwards, it'll be the LOLs, ha, ha, ha. And it's condescending.
He's done it in your face.
Oh, many a times in my face. And even during our trial, he testified because they were talking about my reactiveness. And his attorney had this whole line of questioning to him about how he would handle conflict versus how I would handle conflict. Right. And he was like, well, what do you do when she starts to get upset and angry? And he said, I would try and make a joke and just like laugh about it. And I don't know if anyone's ever been with someone who tries to, when you're having a heated conflict, a heated conversation. Like I said, we were talking about big things. We owed a lot of money on a business. It was not doing well. There was taxes involved. These were very heated things.
Right.
And when someone's cracking a joke at your expense during that, it's not funny to you.
You got spinach in your teeth, JeniLynn. Why are you
just
mad
like,
about a big debt?
I can remember him even like talking about like a friend of mine had posted something. It's about soccer, really, but she was like, she's a great soccer coach and she's also a great business woman. And he was like laughing, like reading it out loud, laughing, like, ha, 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 ha. Who thinks you're good at business? That's a joke. And I was like, wow, that's really not a nice thing to say about me. And
bold
frankly,
coming
I'm
from
probably
you,
not
buddy.
that good. But yeah, I was just kind of like, why would you openly be mocking something someone said about me?
Your business partner.
You're
You're
partner,
mocking your business
spouse.
partner when someone's
Yeah.
complimenting something you do with them. I can't.
It was always dig.
Yeah.
And then my reaction
Right.
was the thing that no one could stop talking about.
Right.
And
So JeniLynn had a saving grace. We've talked about this woman a little bit who is a lawyer who helped her a lot through her court case. And so JeniLynn came to me and was like, let's call her again. Let's call her. She can be very helpful. Let's get some direct response from this person who is understanding what's going on in the family court right now, because it's a fluid environment, depending on what's going on real world and adjustments that the court system is making to be better, quote, for families.
right.
And JeniLynn is telling her the story and things that are going on my behalf to make sure that we're taking appropriate next steps. And she stops and says, they're trying to get a reaction out of you so that they can file a restraining order. You need to be careful.
Because they were refusing to give the kids back to you during what was typically your scheduled residential time.
Yes.
And there was some vagueness in the parenting plan around, it was Thanksgiving holiday.
Yep.
And it was outside of what you typically had ever done. It was outside what the parenting plan said. And his attorney was very adamant that no, the parenting plan said this, and your ex-husband was keeping the kids for all of this. But I don't know what they're trying to do here and why.
Right.
And when we called her and she pointed out
a few specific things.
And she was like, if you go down there to pick up your kids, you go down there, you wait for 15 minutes, but then you leave. Because they're setting you up for a restraining order.
They're trying to get me to react because they know that I will react because those are my children.
That you'll go down there to get your kids, and if you don't leave, they'll accuse you of stalking, they'll accuse you of harassing.
Right.
If you send a text message, that will be all used against you.
Right.
Your reaction will become the offense.
Right.
That vagueness in a parenting plan, which, mind you, when you ended up getting the kids for part of that time and his attorney was very unhappy, and his reaction to you was, now you're going to have to pay $2,500.
$2,675 and
50 cents.
50 cents.
that your crime of
taking the kid on my residential time.
During your residential time is fines. Well, and of course, he always throws in potential jail time.
Always. And my ex-husband says, that's not what's going to happen. You just need to clean your room.
Right.
The analogy that he used, we talked about, is that he said, well, we just have to throw that in there because it's like a child that's supposed to clean their room. You have to tell them their potential consequence.
Yeah, it was in the mother-in-law episode.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is not the same. And also,
my room's clean.
My room is clean.
Once again, the gaslighting that happened.
Yeah, and just waiting for me to react.
Yeah.
So you can say, Jen, this is what you do. Jen, this is how you always are. Jen, I'm not talking to you anything about the kids.
Well, and that's,
as I'm talking about the kids.
And that's my fear, even with speaking out. Jen, this is what you always do. You take what could have just been a court case where they're accusing you of alienation, substantial violations of the parenting plan and transportation, and now you're making this a big deal. Wait a second. People are accusing me of really terrible things.
Yeah.
And me reacting and me speaking out about it
is the crime.
I hope not.
I'd like to add that I feel very confident in saying that while my ex-husband, I'm sure, really did just want to go to mediation, his lawyer has never had any intention of just going to mediation.
Oh, I don't think so.
He knows
either.
exactly what he is doing. He knew exactly how to play this to make as much money out of it as he possibly could.
Yes.
Let's take this non-problematic parenting situation.
Even if it was a problematic parenting situation,
we still have to go to mediation.
The approach was so confrontational.
Oh, yeah.
Of Once again, if your issue was with the parenting plan and it was with a missed visit, a strained relationship, and they think that you're not picking them up at the house that you should be at, why are we not mediating that? Why are you coming after my home, my parenting, me as a person?
Right.
Why is that the mechanism to get what you're saying is a minor change in the parenting plan? Which, like I said, I don't trust that situation at all. I think days before your hearing, you're going to hear, with or without this podcast, days before your hearing, you were going to hear. And that's my fear, is that they're going to throw this in there and be like, and on top of it, she's making the situation even more high conflict. She's leaning into the conflict. They've created the conflict. You're in the conflict no matter what.
Right.
But the fact that you're just not staying silent in it, and the fact that you're not saying, okay, well, we'll just see what happens, and I'm sorry.
And I've been told, don't defend yourself. I have been told by him, don't defend yourself.
Yeah.
Why would you defend yourself? All you had to do is say yes to go to mediation, because it wasn't an ask to go to mediation. It was, you've done this, this, and this, and then I reacted to it. And that's what his lawyer wanted.
Well, it was an offer to go to mediation based on the conditions that you stop violating the parenting
that
plan.
I wasn't even violating.
Well, and in my perception of your response, that's what
I'm
it
saying.
was.
Yeah.
I will go to mediation.
Exactly.
Can we both agree, though? I
have not done these things.
Consciously doing these things that you're
and I have him on the phone
of.
saying, I know you haven't done those things. I know
Your
you haven't.
ex-husband.
Yeah. I know you haven't done those things. I know, Jen.
Well, then, okay, do you think it's the lawyer's fault then?
Oh, I think that what my ex-husband, I know him well enough to know that if his lawyer's coming to him and saying, hey, this is what we have to do because she's crazy, he goes, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
He'll just agree.
Oh yeah. He's very agreeable because he's very opposed to being the bad guy, which is why he has hired someone to do something for him and sits here and tells me, I'm not doing anything to you.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Jen?
Well, can I also say, too, the reactive abuse in your situation when your ex-mother-in-law came in and told you all the things that she thought about your posting things publicly, your relationship with his ex-girlfriend, and your reaction to that is now the crime.
Right.
That the fact that you drew a boundary there and you're like, I feel very personally hurt by these things that you said to me in my home. I need a break from this. Like,
right.
And now your reaction to what was said to you is you're purposely cutting off communication. You're using manipulation and threats to get what you want.
Not only am I using manipulation and using threats to get what I want, I'm teaching the children to do that, is what I have been accused of.
Yeah. Which, okay, in the most ideal scenario, when someone comes into your house and tells you all the things they think you're doing wrong and you tell them that's not okay, what's the solution there?
Yeah, what does she what
No,
do they want
and I'm
in
being
return?
dead serious. Like, in the ideal world, what would be the solution there? Instead of like being like, hey, you can't, I need a break from this. These things really hurt my feelings. And I don't want you having a sleepover here for the next, however long. I need to heal a little bit.
Yeah.
What should you have done instead, you think?
What I should have done as my approach to that?
Or what could you have done instead? I'm not trying to victim blame you or anything. Like, you as the person who has said these things
I don't think that there's a better way to handle that. I could have gone out quietly.
And passive aggressively.
Right.
Like very Pacific Northwest.
And they do that.
Just like not say anything. Just stop answering calls.
Just let people guess why I'm
disappear.
upset. And I didn't. Let's say I did not do that because this was a relationship that was important to me. And so when you care about a relationship, you have to first tell somebody what is wrong so that you can have a path forward.
Right.
So my goal was to have some time and then to be able to approach it when I was ready or when she attempted to have a conversation that said, hey, here's what happened. We don't have to agree, but this is how it felt, and I need that to not happen again.
Yeah.
And I tried that.
Well, and okay, do you think it's just part then of our personalities that lead us very easily down this path?
You mean our personalities as women?
Well, okay,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, we are women, number one, but we're also not wallflower-y.
We're not wallflowery.
And so,
I've tried. Have you ever tried to be a wallflower?
I mean, sometimes, well, of course, I've tried, especially when I know I've said something that is like, you know, I'll just try to like keep it quiet for a little bit. It's so hard for me.
Me too. I don't like it either.
But
I'm like, people think I'm upset because I'm being quiet. And I'm actually just trying to be quiet for a while.
That has happened to me more
Yeah.
times than I can count,
Right.
actually. Because I talk a lot. I've got a lot
You?
of, I know, right? I've got a lot of opinions about things.
You?
And then when I feel like some tension in a relationship, right? Especially like a familial relationship or something close, I will just back away from that because I don't want to say anything else. I don't want to do anything else. If someone's feeling like offended or affronted, you know.
I could maybe make it worse by accident.
That has been turned against me as well.
Right.
Why are you ignoring me? That I've been told this, that I have the kind of personality that like when someone's engaging with me, I do make them feel very important.
You do.
And then when I pull back, it's like a huge like, whoa, she's ignoring me. She
hates me.
No, and that's not
right.
It's not my intention, but I have come to terms with the fact that my actions are perceived like that.
Yeah.
Where no, I've heard that you're offended or that I maybe have said something and I've maybe even tried to lightly brush it or broach it, you know?
Yeah.
But I get that my personality is not for everybody.
Yeah.
I understand that. And so if you don't like the way I joke around or my sarcasm or if that's hit you the wrong way, I'll probably take a step back from that kind of banter with you.
Yeah.
Which is also then turned into.
Yeah. I prefer when people come to me if I've done something that upsets them because I want to know how to not do it again. And I've taken that stance with my ex-husband too. There's been things he will never explicitly tell somebody that they've done something that's upset him. But I can tell, kind of like at the beginning of this episode, I was talking about how I think I made him feel embarrassed by asking him not to come into my house.
Yeah.
He just, from knowing him for so long, I sometimes know I can identify what I've done that maybe created a reaction. So I go and try to talk about it or say something about it. And that makes it worse and makes him mad at me. And then I react.
Yeah.
And it's just this like
communication is
cycle.
crazy too, because just like I was saying, where like me pulling away can be seen as a mean thing.
Yeah.
I've also been in the position where I'm trying to get a hold of someone who I know, like maybe like, especially like a boyfriend or a spouse where like, I want to talk to you. And they're not responding. And all of a sudden you're calling and like, that's what.
Oh yeah.
The reaction of like trying so hard to communicate with that person. What's that called? An avoidant conflict?
Yeah.
Someone who's an avoidant conflict.
They have an avoidant attachment style.
Avoidant attachment. And I'm an anxious attacher.
Same.
And so if they're not answering your calls or responding to your messages and you're like blowing them up, then all of a sudden, once again.
Yeah. So actually, this is funny. I'm a back-to-back caller, but I do that. I do have loved ones.
Yeah.
My ex-husband, I think of him, even if we get along, if we don't get along or anything, you are in my inner circle. You are the father of my children.
Well, and you also met him at a very young age.
Yeah. And I don't call him for no reason, but I do typically call him when emotions are really high because my thought process is like, if we can just talk about it, it would be easier to hear each other, not each other, but I think about this, everybody, like a blanketed statement. Easier to hear somebody's tone of voice and kind of understand what's going on. And you experienced this when you were at my house for New Year's Eve. That conversation actually felt a lot more
diffused.
Something happened with grandma getting involved, yelling about pork tips, accusing me of something, and I wasn't even there. So I called my ex-husband. And it doesn't mean it wasn't heightened emotions.
Right.
But we had a conversation, and it wasn't me reading a text message of him saying, Jen, you're being crazy, stop. It was instead him having a conversation that said, Jen, I have no idea. That shouldn't have happened. And we had a conversation about it. It wasn't until he and the last girl broke up that she came to me and she was like, oh yeah, he says all the time that you just call him. Like, that's not even entirely false. But like, when is he claiming that I'm doing this? And I do not repeatedly call him anymore.
And it's interesting because there's like two extremes, right? There's the person who's poking for the reaction. And then on the other side of that, there's the person who you should be engaging with on a topic who's refusing to engage with you on that topic. And so then you're trying to initiate, and you're still reacting because of the lack of communication.
Right.
And that's the bizarre thing with me and my ex-husband right now, is when we were married, it was poke, react. And now it's using communication in a different way as a form of control. LOL is I guess he is still poking me. It's just not the same. It's different than it has been.
It is to get a reaction. And I think that he has determined that the less lengthy the message and the more potentially provocative it is, the more likely you are to respond.
And what is it with that kind of personalities? Are like, you've seen them you've seen, what do they say, 13 of them? There's only like 13 different like real types of like people.
Oh, I don't know.
Don't quote me on this.
This is Myers-Briggs. I'm an ENFP.
But okay, what I have realized, especially after doing this, because women have been like calling me, like women I know.
Right.
The same situation happens everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Like my friend would call me.
None of this
and
is
be
new.
like, oh my God, this is the same thing you were talking about with the contact lenses happened to me.
Yeah.
The same thing that you were talking about with the graduation happened to me.
Right.
And our story's universal, but the personality types.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can remember my ex-mother-in-law telling me a story where my husband was sitting in class and just being obnoxious in like elementary school. And she got a call from the teacher. And when she talked to my ex-husband about it as a child, he said, oh, I like to just see her scream. And I know if I'm back there flicking my pencil, eventually she'll start screaming. And I think it's funny. And in hindsight, that story is so...
flicking his pencil.
What is it without that personality type, though, that just likes to know that they can get that reaction from people? And so this is why I don't respond or try not to respond so much.
Yeah.
And so is this podcast the reaction he's been looking for? Probably. The fact that this high conflict parenting shit is hard, and that's the goal. If he now you're screaming.
Do you think he would listen to all of it if he found it?
Oh, yeah.
I would.
Yeah. And listen, what's the difference between a fan and a hater?
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Well, and this is the hard part, too, is because when I watch other people on social media, especially, I'm always like, oh, my God. Wow, you're really putting it out there. Yeah, you know what? I am. Everyone already has their storyline about all this.
Right. Here's mine. And the court documents are public record. At any point, the children can go and put in a public information request and get all of these things. And that's a trend, actually. Have you seen that on TikTok?
Oh.
Where kids, adult children are going back and they're reading through all of their parents' court documents.
The access to information these days is so different than it ever has been.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is right or this is wrong. Let me just say that. Like, I think that's like time will tell. But you just do what your heart tells you and cross the bridge when it comes to it about other things. Okay, so what were you going to say about the reconciliation therapy?
So my oldest kid and my ex-husband are in reconciliation therapy. And the first session, therapist made me come back there with them. I was like, no, I'm not here for that. And she goes,
this is the relationship between them.
Yeah. And she was like, no, I want the full family here for this. And I tried several times to say no. And she was like, no, come. So I went. And my daughter also really wanted me to be in there. She stopped after the therapist said after the third or fourth time, come, just come. So I went and I watched him do something to my child that he'd always done to me in that moment. He mumbles under his breath, cusses, and gets really mad when somebody does something that he doesn't like.
But he's not typically yelling and screaming. No, he has.
But he's not a regular yeller and screamer. He does, but fuck, whatever. So he does this as he's exiting the room because the therapist at some point asks him to leave the room temporarily, and he does that on the way out. And when he leaves, my kid starts crying and telling the therapist he always does this. So I thought that was me. I thought he only did that to me.
What, didn't you say to him? No, that was to me.
I said to my kid, when we were leaving, I was like, no, that was to me. And she goes, no, Mom, he does that all the time. So the therapist had her talk to him about it, and she's yelling and she's crying and she's screaming, and he's like, I don't do that. I didn't do that. I don't do that. I didn't do that. There's 3 witnesses to your action, and now your kid is reacting, and you're telling her, nope.
That's still
nope. And that is now reactive abuse. It's trickling into my kid. Yeah. And this is how she's interacting with him on a regular basis.
Yeah. Well, but people are, it's a part of life.
Right.
People are going to poke you. There are some people with this kind of personality out there that enjoy the
reaction, the thrill,
the climax of it. And you can either get that through Ashley Madison or you can get that through your ex-wife.
Or a lawyer.
Where you're getting a thrill off of doing something very subtly that you know is going to press someone's button over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
And then they do, and you're
Look
like,
at you.
wow, you're crazy.
Why are you doing that?
So let's wrap this up here. And next episode, we'll talk about being crazy. She's crazy. Yeah, she's the crazy one.
What's the worst thing? What's not the? I always do.
Oh,
what's not the worst thing that's happened to you this week?
Oh, geez. Not the worst thing that's happened to me this week. I slept on my neck wrong, and I can barely move it. Because I'm so worried about you.
Yeah.
I can hardly turn it the other direction, and it's literally putting a kink in my day.
Climax and kinks and all the other fun things.
Yeah. What's not the worst thing that's happened to you this week?
Not the worst thing that's happened to me this week is I still can't exercise because of my bunk ankle that we've talked about in the past. And so running and lifting weights is something that I do on a very regular basis. I am a very physically active person, and it's starting to make me feel like I'm going a little bit mad, and it's still not the worst thing that's happened to me this week.
Okay, what's this week in hell for you, Jen? What's this week in hell?
This week in hell, just the anxiety around friends and family and many people coming to me and telling me that my ex-husband does not have a stable address, and the way that his mother has spoken to me is creating...
Speculatory.
It is speculatory, but
he's not been at his home address.
No. I've heard a couple of times, but I don't think that's like fully... I don't think that's a thing. That is just causing me so much anxiety, and it is the worst part of my week because not only is it impacting me, but I do not want my ex-husband's relationships to fail. I do not want him to have an unstable place to live or unstable relationships. That is not my goal for anybody. I also have an unstable relationship.
Right.
What's this?
Right.
What's this week in hell for you?
Well, I was trying to get over this whole elephant pants situation, but you walked in with the elephant pants, and it just brought me
the elephant in the room
back to my hell from before, which is the elephant pants. It was terrible. It was horrible. I'm still apologizing.
I love them. I wore them on purpose.
That's this week in hell for me.
I'm looking for some reactive abuse here.
You are about to get a reactive abuse action.
I can't wait for the reaction.
I'm going to rip them off of you. You're going to be like, you shouldn't do that.
Oh, I'll be naked for the camera. I'm sorry to JeniLynn's mom. I love the pants, and your daughter is about to repossess them.
Forcibly repossess the pants.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
Well, that's
See you next
it.
Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.
See you over the fence.
See you over the fence.